Hey guys, your Board of Advisor leadership team is here. Mike Calhoun, Matt Andrews, Mr. Kevin Harrington over here. And we are here for you during crazy times in our world right now, crazy times in our country. And you know, it's in times like these that people get paralyzed. They get paralyzed by fear. And most of the time, at least the way I see it and the way it is in my life and the way I see other people, the unknown is what really scares people, right? It's not knowing what's coming next. That's what creates the fear. That's what really creates these worst case scenarios. You know, Stephen King makes a horror movie. The monster he doesn't show you is scarier than the monster he shows you, right? So our imagination is always going to make it worse than it actually is, right, in a lot of cases. Now, our friend Tim Ferriss has an exercise that he goes through where he carefully takes a pad and draws out the worst case scenario of what he's worried about, right? And what he's found is that once you draw out that worst case scenario, many times it's not as bad as you thought. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of unknowns right now. There's a lot we don't know about, the world and what's happening and exactly what the financial ramifications are, what the health ramifications are. There are some unknowns out there. But if you start preparing in your business, in your family right now, and draw out the worst case scenario, that's the first step to taking positive action steps. Isn't that right, guys?
It's kind of like the Blair Witch Project.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it was just a bunch of dark, crazy moves on a camera.
Black and white.
And everybody was terrified.
Right, because you couldn't see it. You didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I definitely like the idea of, and it kind of goes back to what I think you kind of always say, Kevin, begin with the end in mind, right?
Yeah.
So draw that picture. What could be the worst scenario? What does the end look like if we're playing this thing out week after week? And then begin to design your action steps around that, right?
And it's just smart business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin, you've launched thousands of products, right?
Yeah.
When you launch a product, you think, okay, here's best case scenario of what could happen here. But if all doesn't go right, here's the contingency plan. Here's what we do. Here's the next move, right?
Worst case scenario. We're always looking at the worst case scenario because in my world, a lot of times people would, when they launch a product, they order tons of inventory.
Yes.
Oh, because they're thinking, this is going to be the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Now is the time to be thinking about worst case scenarios.
This is your world.
It's not going to roll out. So you don't need 10,000 pieces, 5,000 for the test. Maybe you can get by with 500 pieces for the test. So, draw the line a little lower today because, it's important not to overspend, not to over expect and be prepared for tougher situations. I mean, even to the point of your own personal situation. Are you able to weather the storm financially for the next 3 or 4 months without a lot of income? Maybe you need that second mortgage, that you've got equity in the house. Now would be the time to go apply for that and get a little bit of a cushion if you need it, because there may be a few months of smaller income streams. And also, how about keeping some of those top people that you need to make sure you don't want to be losing some of the best that you've spent all kinds of time and money to get. So you've got to save your business. You've got to protect the people that are near and dear to you and give them the pep talk because they may be looking elsewhere too.
Kevin, this is what has made you really one of the greatest sharks, is your ability to do exactly this. See the worst case scenario in all these opportunities, these products that you're being faced with every day. Everybody's pitching the shark on, hey, get involved in my business and so forth. And you really have that ability to kind of see, here's how this could all go wrong, right?
Yes.
Like that's what you do almost first thing when you get pitched.
Back in the early 90s when the Gulf War hit, I had hundreds of employees. We were in 65 countries around the world carrying inventories and just we had our own fulfillment center, our own phone center, our own customer service center, all these overheads. And we've since changed all that model, right? We contract out things because when things are great, they're all cylinders are running, 8 or 12 cylinders, whatever it might be, everything's fine. You can have that big staff. But when things get tight, you got to hunker down.
That's right.
We sold off the fulfillment center and sold off the production studio and hunkered down to have more of a transactional kind of a business model. And so we could expand very quickly if we needed to and contract very quickly with just that small team of really brain power folks inside.
Yeah.
Lean, mean, nimble. BA member Pam Jordan, she actually popped into my head earlier this week with her profit first. She was speaking about it at the last event.
More important now than ever.
Yeah, carving off your profits, setting that aside, making sure that you're stable. You never know what's going to transpire in the marketplace, what's going to come out of left field. I mean, this has come out of left field for the entire world, right? So I just love the fact that how you're able to instantly see worst case scenario as soon as anything kind of hits the plate of opportunity.
Yeah, and when we say worst case scenario, guys, don't misunderstand. We're not talking about pessimism. We're talking about preparedness, all right? We're talking about smart realism, right? Being prepared for that worst case scenario. So what we would encourage you all to do right now, and we know a lot of you have done this as business owners, but take a minute right now and draw out from a real bird's eye view the worst case scenario in your business. See where the pitfalls are, right? Think about them before they happen, and then bring them to your board of advisors, right? We're available to you. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be extra available to you. Our communication is going up a level. So draw out that worst case scenario, again, not as a pessimist, as a preparer, right? And look at where those pitfalls are, identify those, and bring them to us so that we can help you with those things.
Well, the principle of crisis brings opportunity is, I think we all agree that that's 100% true.
Absolutely.
It's all just dependent on how you react to the crisis, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're drawing out the worst case scenario, what you're really doing is helping to identify what's the worst case scenario crisis, right? And then how do we associate what opportunities does that surface? And then how do we approach the opportunity to not just profit, but to truly help the entire environment or the entire situation? And anytime you're serving that situation and you're creating a result that serves and helps others, you're going to profit. It's just that's how this whole thing works. So, ladies and gentlemen, the worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
But
draw it out.
But the best case end result. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How about I give one example?
Yeah.
I'm in the product business, right? So we sell a lot of products to retail stores, to the shopping channels, right? So normally a vendor would sell to the QVC or HSN and they keep 100% of the profits. Worst case scenarios now, people are thinking, how can I off some of that risk?
Sure.
So now I'm getting phone calls from people that are saying, can you help me finance some of my purchase orders? Because they don't want to use every dime for inventory that they're going to send to QVC. They want somebody else to take a little risk with them. So,
but there's upside.
Yeah. So they'll give up a little piece of their profit to an investor who will put some money up for the product because an investor could weather the storm
to mitigate
the risk. So now they don't have to put up the money for the inventory, tie up significant lines of credit, and they have an ability now to have a war chest for the rainy day as they need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. So there's lots of things that you can be doing in your world, in your life. That's just an example for me in my product business, but there's ways that you could take that same kind of process and use it in your own business, laying off some of the risk.
Love it. That's exactly what we talk about at the meetings, right?
Yeah.
What's your biggest problem? What's your biggest challenge? What's the worst case scenario? What are you facing that you need help with? Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we want you to do. Bring that to the table. Bring it to the surface, and that's why we're here for you. Anything else, gentlemen?
That's it.
That's it, guys. We're here for you. Your Board of Advisor leadership team is here. We're not going anywhere, and we look forward to helping you thrive and prosper during these crazy times.